Again, good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome to our webinar on how to improve the welfare of locally farmed chickens. So, I'm Ging Geronimo, one of the volunteers at Effective Altruism Philippines, and I'll be your host for today. So, bago po tayo magsimula, nais po ulit naming magpasalamat sa inyong lahat. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Sabi ko nga, whether you're here as a consumer, an advocate, a poultry farmer, or even an agro entrepreneur, we are truly grateful that you're interested to learn how we can improve the welfare of our locally farmed chickens. So ngayong hapon, aalamin natin kung bakit mabuti para sa mga manok at sa ating mga consumers ang free-range poultry farming at cage-free egg production. So madalas nating makita sa mga supermarkets ang mga dressed chicken na may label na raised in stress-free environments. Sana all, di ba? So ano nga bang ibig sabihin nito? Malalaman natin mamaya kung ano ang pinagkaiba ng free range sa cage-free method. So here's our program flow for today. Okay, so first, we will hear from one of EA Philippines co-founders. She will share what effective altruism is and what effective altruism Philippines is all about. Then we'll move on to our speakers who will talk about the overview of free-range poultry farming and the cage-free movement in the Philippines. So after the talks, we'll have a Q&A session with our speakers. So and now, let me introduce our first speaker this afternoon. She will provide an introduction to effective altruism and EA Philippines. So ano nga ba ang EA at ang EA Philippines? So bakit ba kami concerned sa chicken welfare? So our first speaker is an accountant in an international NGO, and she's currently pursuing her master's in community development in UP Diliman. She's also an advocate of animal welfare. And dear friends, meet one of the co-founders of EA Philippines, Miss Kate Lupang.
Thank you, Jing. Thank you for an awesome introduction. And hi, everyone. So it's good to see na we're all over the world. We're connected virtually. And thank you for the time for joining this event and be interested in terms with improving the lives of chickens. So I'll start my presentation with an introduction about EA and what EA Philippines is and why are we holding this event. So ano nga ba yung effective altruism? So effective altruism is, or EA in short, is a philosophy and social movement of people using evidence and reason to figure out how to help others as much as possible and then taking action on that basis. So it's a guiding question on how we can do the most good with our careers and donations. So in EA, there are two main ideas behind effective altruism. So first is some global problems are much more important to solve than others. So sa lahat ng problema ng ating mundo, you may think that all of them are equally important to solve. So lahat dapat i-solve. But if we look deeper and analyze on the evidence and data, we will realize that there are some problems that have a higher risk and that needed more attention and it's important to solve than others. Second, so in EA, we uses three factors in ranking this problem. So first is yung scale. So gaano ba kadami, gaano kadami at gaano ka badly it will affect not only for humans but for all sentient beings. So that means animals and then also our future generation. So second is yung neglectedness. So how much talent and funding is focused on this? Uh, are there many organizations working on this problem, or is there limited on this? And is there enough funding uh, to work and improve this cost area? And then lastly is solvability. So will adding more people and funding will lead to progress. So with that, so some of the issues prioritized by the people within EA community, first is global health and development. So this is about solving and curing preventable diseases in low-income countries. So GiveWell is an international charity that evaluates other charities that and other charities and programs that improves lives most effectively for each donations made. One example of GiveWell recommendation is Against Malaria Foundation, which works to provide families with bed nets in Africa and one of the most cost-effective charities in the world. Second is avoiding existential risks. So some of the examples of this existential risks are pandemics, nuclear warfare, climate change, and super intelligent AI. And these are the events that will permanently derail the human race. And then third is mental health. Mental health is still considered as a relatively big and neglected problems globally. There are two organizations, EA aligned organization that is working on this. So first is the Happier Lives Institute and Stronger Minds. And then last would be animal welfare. So being compassionate should not be only limited to human beings. So we should extend our moral compassion to all animals because all animals also experience pain the same as humans do. And when we say animal welfare, so hindi lang siya limited sa mga pets natin, but it also move across to all animals. So such animals that we use for food and livestock, and such as chicken, pigs, and fish. Those animals actually experience most extreme sufferings because they are being used to breed for human consumption. So this topic will discuss more further by the two of our speakers. Second main idea behind effective altruism is the best charities or interventions are 10 times to 100 times better than an average charity or intervention. So this is also the reason why we want to discuss about cage-free and free range to learn more how these interventions are helping in improving the lives of the chickens. Sorry. So what does EA Philippines do? So EA Philippines is the official Philippine chapter of EA movement, and we are founded in 2018, and our mission is to provide high quality resources and discussion spaces for students and professionals to learn about and practice the principles of effective altruism. So the things that we do is we support student chapters. So currently we support in mentoring and providing resources and career mentorship for our student chapters. So first we have Effective Altruism Blue. So it's in Ateneo de Manila. Second is Effective Altruism UP Diliman. And our new student chapter is Effective Altruism de La Salle University, Manila. Second, aside from supporting student orgs, we also do research events such as this or career advising on causes which we think that are most important for Filipinos to help in. The examples of the research that we're currently doing are local health and development, local animal welfare, local mental health, and long-termism and existential risk. So why are we holding this event? So why uh what one of the reason why we want to do this event is we want to increase the awareness of intervention to improve the lives of the farm animals in the Philippines. So about 1.5 million chickens are slaughtered in the Philippines each year, and an estimate of 53 million hens at the time of confinement in small cages to produce eggs. So this makes us the 14th largest producers of chickens and 16 largest in terms of number of cages globally. All of these cage hens and many of the chickens experience slaughters and experience immense amount of sufferings in their lives. Also, sorry. Also, there are very limited organizations and charities working on reducing sufferings for farm animals. Second, we want to support the growth of cage-free and free-range poultry in the poultry industry in the Philippines to improve animal welfare. So whether you're a farmer who wants to engage in this industry, or you're a consumer, or even an advocate, so this can also help in improving the lives of the chickens. Yeah, and that ends my presentation. Thank you. Back to you, Jing.
Thank you, Kate. So we've heard from Kate what EA is and why we care about animal welfare. So I know all of us are very much excited to learn from our speakers this afternoon. So Attorney Heidi Caguioa is already here. Welcome, Attorney Heidi. And but first, let me share with you the Slido details where you can send your questions. So sa mga first time po gagamit ng Slido, you can access the Slido in three ways. One is through the QR code flash on screen. Ayan. So you can scan this QR code. And the other method is through the link we sent via the chat box. So please check out the chat box. So sinend po ni Ms. Janaisa yung link sa Slido. Or you can also go directly to the app if you have one, or to the Slido website and input the event code flashed on screen. So our event code this afternoon is 505342. So you can put your questions on Slido and maya-maya sasagutin po yan ng ating mga speakers. So sa mga first time pong gumamit at medyo nako-confuse, pwede rin po ninyong i-type ang inyong mga questions sa chat box. At ililipat na lang po ni Ms. Janaisa sa ating Slido. Ayun. So, I know you can't wait to hear from our speakers today. So, let's move on. Our first speaker is, probably you already know him, is Dr. Erwin Joseph Cruz. He's a free-range and duck specialist, and he's also a fellow at the Philippine College of Poultry Practitioners, and he served as the chairman of the Philippine National Standards on Free-Range Poultry Production, developed by the Bureau of Agricultural and Fisheries Standards, or BAFS. Doc Irwin is also the president and founder of Filipino Smallholder Free-Range Poultry Raisers Association, or PhilSPRA. Let's all welcome Dr. Erwin Joseph Cruz, our first speaker this afternoon.
Thank you, Jing. Thank you sa Effective Altruism for giving this opportunity sa mga smallholder farmers who I see are very familiar and are practicing farmers already. So I hope that through this short presentation, it can help you in moving forward regarding free-range farming. Okay. I will share now my presentation. Nakikita po ba? Okay. Okay. So, science-based free-range poultry production that is sustainable and profitable in the provinces under the new normal. So, with this new normal, a lot of things changed. Even how animals are being farmed, even how the logistics and operations, they all change due to this new normal. I always start with my presentation. An educated farmer is a successful farmer. So everything starts with education, even in farming. Because once you start with the right step and the right procedure, and you know the journey you're going to, it will be easier and better for you in the long run. I also say that Agriculture is the main backbone of any developing Asian country, especially under times of crisis. So every time there's an Asian crisis, we all go back to food. So this has happened in the dollar Asian crisis in the 90s, during the time of liberation after the war, and now with this pandemic. Walk through of this presentation. So you will see golden keys, and these are the important things that you have to consider if you're going to move forward with going a smallholder or free-range poultry farming. Year 2020 is a significant reboot in the poultry industry. Well, actually, practically in all sense. No? Present scenario of the Philippine poultry industry. No? What is backyard or smallholder farmer scale? So here you will understand what is considered as a backyard, commercial, etc. Localized smallholder poultry farming becomes significant at this time. Strengths, opportunities, weakness, and threats, or we call SWOT in business, so that you can analyze the program that you're going to or the farming you're going to. Genetics, the important key ingredient in the development of smallholder poultry farming in the provinces. The concept of equal opportunity in the small to medium scale poultry farming in the local level. Creating a compartmentalized per province level of skilled breeding stations to cater the local demand in provinces. The concept of value adding for smallholder farmers to gain higher profits. And value of good education and genetics in free range poultry farming. This equates to better skills, you get better profits. As I said, 2020, a significant reboot in the poultry industry. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone on how we live our lives. Sudden disruption of businesses and livelihood without enough time to prepare. Biglaan lahat, no? Losses of employment and businesses, especially the vulnerable sector in the industries, no? SMSEs. All SMSEs were affected. And all remaining opportunities were gravely affected due to shutdowns and lockdowns. Losses of lives due to COVID-19 affected everybody. Business confidence affected both sides, from the side of the supplier and the consumers. These lockdowns have made transport costs of livestock to go up more than 50%, plus a sudden upward surge of cost to produce and fuel costs. Cost of raw materials of animal feeds are also going high, going north already. So we need alternatives. Lack of manpower movement due to LGU quarantine have reduced income opportunities. Different quarantine requirements, no? Minsan kada probinsya iba yung requirement, pagtawid mo sa kabilang probinsya. So this is not healthy for business. And going back to the old system will not prove to you that it will be effective. During the community quarantine, food became the main priority over to just having cash in one's wallet. I've seen people who have cash but they don't have food. Still, food is the main uh, requirement to sustain your family, not the bank accounts, not the plenty of cash that you have. It's about food. ASF, no, African swine fever, added to the burden of local production ng livestock. Due to lack of work and limited business opportunities, families decided to grow their own vegetables, and chicken became one of their immediate sources of animal protein. Because chicken is the easiest livestock to take care of, is faster conversion. So for us, 70 days, you have 1.4 kilos of chicken already. And in 4.5 months, you have egg production already. Eventually led to the increase in the number of smallholder poultry farmers for meat and eggs. And some have changed their career and went back to the provinces. And then we have uh, local-based poultry farming became an attractive agribusiness. Present scenario of the Philippine poultry industry from a smallholder poultry farmer's perspective. When you look back since 2011, a chicken has been the formidable force in the development of volume in terms of inventory and consumption in the Philippines. Second, ang swine. And when you dissect this more, you will see that 45%, 44, let's just say we average at 45% of the whole industry. For example, we're talking of 180 million birds inventory per year. 44 or 45% of that is coming from native and improved chickens. So that is very significant. And one important point to note there is that these are farmers in the provinces. So these are the first line that gets affected if there are any changes in the economy of the country. And in 2020, there were 178 million birds inventory in 2020. This was before the start of the pandemic. And you will see that 83.34 or 80.68 million birds are from broiler. And we have the native and improved at 83.34 million birds. So there was a dip because of the pandemic. However, it rebounded easily in the provinces because it is more flexible for farming if you are only producing for your own localities, not for the Tawid Dagat, not go to the Visayas Mindanao, or vice versa. And if you see, as per 2020 January 1, 80.68 million are from native, improved native, and farmed by small and medium-scale farmers and fighting cows, while 97.58 million are from big integrators, medium to large-scale independent companies, which are more on the commercial side of poultry production. And with the special release of the Philippine Statistics Authority, there was really a dip in the growth rate. However, it rebounded easily in the provinces. Why? This is already a sign that we need to work hard, help the people in the provinces and the rural areas so that they will have a very uh, robust setup by providing chicken as a possible input for their food on the table as well as some small agri enterprise. Further dissecting on a per region basis of how much chicken are being produced per region, you will see here that on a native and improved side, which is around 80 million birds in inventory, Ilocos region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Mimaropa region, Bicol region, Western Visayas, Central Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, Davao, Soxargen are the main players of a percentage of production of native and improved chicken. And the champion, of course, is Western Visayas, Central Visayas. If we provide these inputs, this knowledge to our farmers in Western Central Visayas, this will encourage them more to go into this kind of farming because the products are openly or easily consumed in these areas. Also in Northern Mindanao, Davao region, no? So these are the top notchers, no? When you go into this native and improved production. But it doesn't mean that the other areas are far behind. It's more of developing the program on a per province level. Localized smallholder poultry farming becomes significant. What is smallholder poultry farming? What does it mean? Family-based poultry production as a food source of poultry produce, food on the table. So basically, food on the table. Kaya ka naglalagay ng chicken sa backyard mo. Or converting surplus crops to animal protein, especially to areas where there are high harvest of surplus harvest of rice and corn and even coconut meat. You can use this as surplus crops to feed your chickens. Smallholder poultry farming is one of the first line of food security for families in the provinces. This is one of their shield against hunger. So we need to establish this well. And we have seen Bill Gates, no, Prince Charles of Great Britain, and other big personalities encouraging backyard or smallholder farming as a main source of food and some business. A local farmer's poultry production based on local or provincial markets of chicken meat and eggs, which means that you're focused more in your locality where you know the area, you understand the people, and you understand their demands. You just focus on that production. You don't worry about the problems of other provinces. Local farmers keeping chickens as a support source in between food crops, source of food in the provinces. For example, if it takes you 90 days to harvest corn or rice, in between that, chicken can be the part of the food support and some financial support. Focuses on the provincial chicken consumers, basically native chicken consumers or colored chicken consumers, composed of inbred or mixed breeds and varieties. We call, as what Eman Bondok said, OGK, no? It says only God knows what the genetic line these chickens have. So that genetic is very important, and now it's very mixed like chop suey or fruit salad, that the productivity has been sacrificed. Level of knowledge in modern poultry technology and production is low to medium. Significantly based more on anecdotal, ibig sabihin sa kwento lang ng lolo, ng tsuhen, ng kaibigan kung paano mag-farming. Having exposure of 6 months in social media, some people think that it is as easy as copy paste, no? Versus a century of solid poultry science. That is what we are pushing for, science-based poultry production even in the backyard or smallholder level. Minimal agri-entrepreneurial ability, because with kamusta po yung ating mga OFW seafarers dyan, mga kasama, no, mga kababayan. I hope all is well with you. Funded ng seafarers and OFWs ang karamihan ng mga farmers natin na tumatakbo ngayon. Genetic foundations are low, which means that if you have a low genetic foundation, you have low productivity, and which will result to high cost to produce. Gastos lang ng gastos ang ating mga OFW seafarers. Wala na kukuha resulta because yung genetics palang hawak ay hindi tama. Favorite project of local government leaders during election time. Yan, nag-aamoy election na naman next year. So people are moving, no? Politicians are moving. I would rather tell them that giving away money, giving away such things for election, why don't you give technology, no, and knowledge in farming to make it sustainable? Population can be from 10 to 3,000 heads capacity. So this means that you can have a smallholder farming based on 10 to 3,000 heads capacity. Why did I put depending on whose interpretation? The only knowledge that I get that has some legal backing is a resolution number R674 of the HLURB. Imagine HLURB ang meron nito, no? Not DA. That standardizes the level of backyard, small, medium, and large farms. And when you see in particular small and medium scale farming, it is 501 to 5,000. Pag backyard ka, 500 lang or below. However, take note that this is dependent on the LGU, dependent on your friendliness with your barangay captain, dependent on your political affiliation, etc., etc. So you have to consider all these things. But as you can see, if you are in an agricultural level, you have minimal requirements, and you don't need a certificate of compliance. You just need certificate of non-compliance. Smallholder production plays an important role in the rural areas. The main poultry source of most rural areas in the Philippines. They don't have access to groceries or supermarkets. They only have access to their backyards and their kapitbahays' backyards. No? An integral part of Philippine farming. No? In between crop source of funds and food on the table. An immediate source of animal protein in the provinces. Very important ang animal protein. Why? Because the development of children requires similar animal proteins coming from eggs, no? Or chicken meat or pork, goat, fish, or beef. Remains a special viand. So every time may fiesta, graduation, despedidas, ang mga favorite na ulam is tinola, adobo, lechon manok, etc. No? Part of the Philippine food heritage. Even during the time of the Spanish colonization, chicken has been present as part of the cuisine and heritage of the Filipinos. Immediate livelihood relief during calamities in the provinces, which can be seen later as what you see now. This happened during the Taal eruption, and you can see how people prioritize their poultry because that is their immediate source of livelihood in the area. Free-range poultry farming. This is the PNS or the Philippine National Standards on free-range chicken. You can look it up at the Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standards. You can go to their website and you can check them out because we need to standardize things. That's why I push this further because we need a standard system because as I've said, an educated farmer is a successful farmer. Okay? Basic standards of free-range poultry farming. It is a method of farming. Free-range chicken production is a method of farming. It is not an animal. The chickens have access to fence-in low area to allow the birds to roam. Minimum ranging requirement is 1 bird per square meter of open space. Outdoor, 1 bird per square meter. If you have 100 square meters, you can put 100 birds or even less. Access to vegetation and insects that are added feed inputs to the birds. At least 6 to 8 hours of open air or sunlight outdoors. The birds must be provided a shaded dry housing with a space requirement of 5 to 6 birds per square meter. This is the indoor stocking density. The genetics used are the traditional slow-growing colored chickens or the native chickens. Hybrid for meat, these are from these companies. Company names po ito, Saso and Hubbard Grimaud. These are not pangalan or names of chickens. For egg, dominant CZ, Decal Brown, H&N Brown. For dual meat and eggs, it's dominant CZ. Basic standards provided with the combination of commercial feeds, 80 to 90%, legumes, grasses, and other supplements, access to perching or roosting sticks, access to dust bath, age and harvest is a minimum of 56 days up. It is a recognized poultry farming practice in the EU, USA, and Australia. Weakness, opportunities, strength, opportunities, weakness, and threats in smallhold to medium-scale poultry farming. Quickest animal livelihood to set up. You can be operating in just 3 to 4 months. Easy to learn with no religious or age barrier. Supplemental source of food and support income for the families. Annual increase in the demand of local provincial chickens and the eggs. As we speak, the volume of demand is getting higher in the provinces. The positive effects of OFWs to seafarers, funding, farming opportunities, and consumption of smallholder produce. It is a much better concept than sari-sari store or tricycle as an OFW negosyo. Local government units requirement of poultry livestock program, high due to the election fever and high social impact in a small package. The majority of backyard piggery farms converted to poultry eggs and meat production due to ASF outbreak. The new normal also affected cockfighting industry and shifted more on poultry raising for food. New normal also created provincial lockdowns that refocuses the farmers to go and produce more on their provinces and localities, and supply and demand got affected. Weaknesses and threats, no? Increase in urbanization and industrialization, easily displaced agriculture opportunity. Sometimes over-commercialism is not good, especially in farming. Instant foods, fast globalization, COVID threat, avian influenza or bird flu, Newcastle disease outbreaks, increased feed costs, low productivity because excessive inbreeding and non-scientific approach in feeding, vaccination, disease and management, and biosecurity. Minimal science-based approach in farming, wrong approach in genetics. A simple equation is hybridization for productivity or sustainability rather than inbreeding. Genetics, the important key ingredient in the poultry development of smallholder poultry farmers in the provinces. Genetics is a vital tool, no, to determine the progress or regress of the smallholder poultry farming. If you use more of the inbred lines, the chances of productivity goes low as you breed. No? Misrepresentation of the native chicken, with due respect, of course, to our native chicken farmers, as a productive and sustainable farming for local poultry farming programs. No? Inbreeding reduces productivity, but only increases robustness o yung tibay. The government program of PAEWI system cannot be applied to chickens since undesirable effects of inbreeding is very visible on the second, third, and fourth generation production of F2s, F3s, and F4s. Undesirable effects of inbreeding, compromised immune system, abnormalities or defects, low productivity, stunting, and small egg sizes can be seen in F2 production already. Cost cutting versus investing, wrong local mentality. Multitasking programs for farmers has low success rate. Farmers are single taskers. No, we cannot give them a multitask of being a farmer, breeder, hatchery manager, manpower, HRM, it's everything. No? The basic template of hybridization in poultry production must be followed. You need certified parent stocks, no, in producing F1, specific either for egg or meat. Creating specialized farming programs per locality is the key towards a successful smallholder farming. Creation of breeding stations with utilizing certified parent stocks and grow out for meat and eggs for local consumers only focused. No? To have a sustainable and profitable smallholder poultry production of eggs and meat, you need to correct the issue of genetics in the provinces. Priority is high, producing genetics fit in a low technology farming, but still science-based. Higher productivity means more income in the pockets of farmers. Genetics of slow meat and egg production cannot improve poultry farming in the provinces. Improvement of meat production, 1.5 kilos in 70 days live versus 1 kilo in 120 days for the inbred lines or the native lines. No? Improvement in egg production, 280 eggs starting at 17 weeks to 72 weeks versus 40 eggs in 28 weeks to 72 weeks. So this is what happened. This is similar to the native chicken. You only have 8 to 12 eggs in a year. Then it developed and it was hybridized in the 1900s. Now today, chickens are producing 300 eggs. So the system versus native farming is that you have a hybrid poultry production, you have faster growth development, you have more meat, more eggs, nearest to native taste, more harvest of eggs, more produce, consistent production. Therefore, you have sustainability in free-range farming. This is already a video of how productive the egg-laying ability of these chickens are, that are essential tools in sustainability for local farmers. No, okay. These are the nests, condo nests. We call it condo nest. And a local farmer can be producing a basket full of eggs that their neighbors, their patrons can just get from the gate, no, farm gate kagad, very fresh. So more eggs produced, more sustainable farming, more farmers, more development of the program. And it starts with the genetics. Here, you have a low technology system, but you have a high value product. The objective of this is that let small farmers create high value produce so that the people who can afford in the in the urban centers can buy them, like in the stores, no, yung high value stores. They have a supplemental feeding program to more or less cushion the high cost of feeds. So you have a program. They also eat flowers, by the way, edible flowers. They like chili, they like vegetables, and they like fruits also, even coconuts. So you get results of this kind of chicken meat. Good for tinola, good for inihaw. So you have a uniform production, and that will create a phase two of restaurants coming in. People are more preferring this kind of chicken, tastier, more chicken taste. No, as you can see, I'm getting hungry also. As you can see with the results of the inihaw, these are from farmers. These are from free-range farmers who have successfully penetrated the market in their localities. The concept of equal opportunity in the small to medium scale poultry farming in the local level. So we have certified breeders. They produce the day-old chicks. The day-old chicks are being distributed from breeder farm A, breeder farm B. There is no competition. It is a Bayanihan poultry program. So you have dual type chickens that are sustainable and productive, which are very important key. Creating a compartmentalized on a per province level of efficient breeding stations. No? Creation of certified breeding stations in the provinces. Value breeding stations per province, support local farmers in the locality, reduces the risk of lockdowns in the provinces. So if there are in cases of bird flu or COVID lockdowns, the locality still survives because there is still poultry production in the area. Creates self-reliant local poultry farmers, creates improves agri-industry in the smallholder level. Hindi sila neglected ang maliliit na farmer, which is the common case that's happening right now. No? So nakikita natin, they are the neglected industries, the smallholder farmers. Helps in the food industry, food security in the locality. No, hindi nakikita ng government yung impact niyan. Dapat they should value smallholder farmers. Less reliance on inter-island supply of poultry produce. This is one system that you have three different breeding stations in one province who will supply eggs, meat, and quality day-old chicks. No? The objective is to create all of these communities in a Bayanihan poultry program nationwide. Concept of value adding for smallholder farmers to gain higher profits. Since smallholder poultry farming cannot directly compete with commercial farming, value-added poultry farming is the way to go. Freshest eggs and chicken meat in the locality. Free-range farming creates the value-added features versus traditional cage farming or commercial farming. Captured market in the community. So you don't need to go further because you have relatives, friends, churches, barangay, and NGOs, cooperatives in your locality, which you like the community pantry, you know, has some shelter from continuous rise in fuel and transport costs, has some business protection against provincial lockdowns. So I encourage shop local, eat local, spend local, and enjoy local. So this is the time that the reboot have sets the value of our locality. No, let's enjoy being Filipinos in the Philippines. Educating farmers on a more scientific poultry farming can help local farmers earn more and improves food security of localities in the provinces. So conclusions. The year 2020 became a major reboot for everyone, created a bigger community of free-range poultry farmers in the provinces. 45% of the poultry production in the Philippines is still from smallholder farmers. Smallholder poultry farming is part and parcel of Filipino farming. It is a tradition in our culinary. The other side of poultry industry that has a growth potential and a pool of knowledge farmers will push forward more animal welfare programs. Genetics is an important key towards a profitable free-range smallholder farming. Provincial compartmentalization of breeding station, an effective tool under the new normal. Smallholder farmers, if educated in the proper way of growing chickens, organized well, and equipped with the right genetics, can be a formidable force in helping food security in the rural areas. So, in behalf of my free range family, we would like to thank everyone who gave your time, and God bless to all. You can like or check our Facebook at Dominant Asia Pacific page. Thank you very much and God bless. Okay, yun po.
So thank you, Doc, for that presentation. We learned a lot from your talk. So I'm sure may mga nag-send po ng messages, private messages sa inyo, Doc. There are participants who messaged me that they message you daw po, Doc, here on Zoom.
Okay.
So to those who want to ask questions for Doc Erwin, you can use our Slido event code. So we will, yes, naka-flash na sa screen. So that's 505342. May mga questions na po tayo, Doc, na na-receive. Sasagutin natin yan maya-maya lamang.
Sige po.
Okay?
Thank you po.
So, ayan. Thank you, Doc. Nagutom kami sa presentation mo after seeing those lechong manok and the chicken
Napakahirap lang
tinola.
i-condense sa time. Pasensya na po. But I hope that
Yes, Doc. Thank
it
you.
has been very effective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, it's really an interesting presentation. So, let's now move on to our next speaker. So, makakasama natin ngayong hapon ang Program Director ng Animal Kingdom Foundation. She is a practicing lawyer by profession, and she's also an animal welfare activist. She is the first legal practitioner who has brought a new perspective into the legal profession by fighting for the cause of animal welfare. And she serves as the voice in leading anti-cruelty campaigns. So Doc Heidi has been promoting animal welfare education and ensuring the prevention and prosecution of animal abuse and maltreatment. So as a lawyer advocate, Attorney Heidi has contributed in the lobbying of various animal welfare guidelines with the Committee on Animal Welfare. She has introduced legislations in the Congress and Senate, including the recent pending Senate Bill 4318 and Senate Bill 1918. So, Attorney Heidi believes that looking after the welfare of animals eventually leads to the welfare of us human beings and the environment. She believes that taking care of our pets and our farm animals have brought out the humanity of caring, sharing, loving, and responsibility in children and adults, not to mention that the realization that the way animals are treated also impacts human health and the environment because we are interconnected. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Attorney Heidi Caguioa. Attorney Heidi.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi. Sorry, I'm
Attorney Heidi.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And yeah, thank you for inviting me here in the first ever, I think, webinar in relation to cage-free and free-range farming. Am I clear?
Yes, Attorney, we can hear you.
Okay. Should I share already my screen?
Yes, please, Attorney. You may share your screen now.
All right. There you go. Is it clear?
Yes, po.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So, may I start?
Yes, Attorney.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Attorney Heidi Caguioa, and I'm the Program Director for Animal Kingdom Foundation. Sometimes we're also called AKF Animal Rescue and Protection. And in behalf of the AKF team, I'm really very honored to be sharing with you our efforts and campaign to reduce cruelty in farm animal sector particularly in the egg-laying hens industry. I would like to also thank the organizers of this webinar for inviting me. And I really hope that after this or after today, everybody, all the participants here can join us and take part in this advocacy. Okay, wait lang ha. All right, let me first introduce to you what Animal Kingdom Foundation is. Well, Animal Kingdom Foundation um, is a registered non-stock nonprofit NGO. We have been in operation since way back 2000, and we have been in this advocacy for more than a decade already. We are happy to say that over the years, we have made significant improvement, contributed to the significant improvement in the way animals are being treated in the country. So what do we do? So since its inception, AKF has been known for its unrelenting campaign against the elimination of the trade of dogs for human consumption, otherwise known as the dog meat trade. Through the years, our advocacy expanded into education, campaigns against cruel practices and traditions, lobbying, education, animal disaster relief and rescue, among others. And of course, this is always in partnership with private and the government institutions. AKF's success in these areas has made it realize the need to expand further and look into the welfare of farm animals as well. Thus, driven as it is, AKF is determined to improve the quality of life of egg laying hens through its various animal welfare campaigns. Okay, so in 2018, the rising global awareness on animal welfare associated with the increasing consumer consciousness about what is happening in the farm before food reaches the market is an opportunity for the Philippines to participate and take an active role in the global effort to improve animal welfare, especially in the lives of egg-laying hens. In March 2018, AKF launched its cage-free campaign through a conference attended by major egg-laying producers like Bounty Fresh, Magnolia, the Academe, farmers, government regulatory bodies or delegates, international organizations like the Humane Society International. The forum was in fact entitled The Global Movement to Reduce Intensive Confinement of Egg-Laying Hens and Why It Is Worth Joining. Actually, it was my first time then in 2018 to meet Dr. Erwin Cruz in that forum. And it was really a very pleasant meeting with him. And I also learned a lot from him during that time. After the launch, we proceeded on with various information campaigns, education campaigns, because we believe that it is important that we raise awareness among the public, both the farm industry and the consumers as well, about what is cage-free and what are cage-free eggs. Quite frankly, this is not something very popular in the Philippines. For the general public, an egg is just an egg. Which brings us to the next question. Do you know where your eggs come from? Or maybe a more interesting question could be, which came first, a chicken or the egg? Diba? Maybe to answer your question, you might be imagining these kinds of hens, no, where you can source your eggs, or maybe you're imagining also, aha, this is where my eggs are coming from, or could be this one also, or maybe in this large farm or facility. But actually, how about this one? Have you ever seen hens or egg laying hens in this kind of facility or scenario? How about this one? Diba? Can you see their eyes? What do you observe from these hens? They are packed, compressed in cages. They look sick with poor feather condition. They look barren, no? And dirty. In fact, these hens has nowhere to go but just inside those cages. They are called, of course, factory farming. What is factory farming? Factory farming or the factory farms is a type of intensive agriculture designed to maximize production while minimizing costs. It aims to address the global food demand due to increasing population, food trends, commercial and industrialization, and of course, no, the desire to increase profit. According to the USDA 2019 figure, a total of 81.6% of hens are housed within battery cages. And in fact, only a few, no, very small amount comes from cage-free or free-range facility. In the Philippines, eggs are produced mostly in industrialized egg farms, could be about 84%, while the native or improved facility brings us only this very small percentage. Why is factory farming bad? Or is it really bad? Obviously, there are a lot of concerns or issues being attributed to factory farming. We are saying that factory farming is bad because of environmental issues, human health, and of course, animal welfare. Environmental issues because basically resources such as land, water, and air. They pollute our water resources and also contribute to climate change. With respect to human health, another issue being thrown against factory farming is the fact that it increases the risks for zoonotic diseases, for salmonella, and in fact, abuse in antibiotic results to risks of pandemic because this already put animals at risk, not being able to respond to antibiotics. Hence, we have avian flu, and now we are still battling the effect of ASF. Animal welfare, which is the more significant concern at this time, because egg-laying hens are kept in small cages. Do you know how or what is the size of or space that an egg-laying hen have in a small battery cage? The average space allowance per bird in a typical battery cage is actually less than the size of an A4 bond paper. So imagine an A4 bond paper, that is the space of a hen inside a battery cage. Other than this, the height of the cage is just enough for it to stand. And to conclude, there is no other place for it to go to. Because of these living conditions, these egg-laying hens are exposed to physical and psychological discomfort. So, to answer your question or to answer my question, do you know where your eggs are coming from? They come from barren battery cages where they're unable to express their natural behaviors. And thus, this causes hence extreme physical and psychological discomfort. So, why is this now important? So, why are we talking about animal welfare? Because we believe that animals are sentient beings. And when we say sentient beings, um, we say that an animal is capable of being aware of its surroundings, its relationship with other animals and humans, and of sensations of its own body, including pain, hunger, heat or cold, and of course, the capacity or the capability to suffer. Simply put, sentience is the ability to perceive and feel things and the capacity to suffer. How do we measure or how do we know that there is an animal welfare concern or that animal welfare is present? We have to look into and examine the 5 freedoms to achieve good health and welfare. In order for anyone to determine whether an animal welfare concern is present, it is important for us to examine the 5 basic freedoms. These 5 basic freedoms are guiding principles approved and adopted by other bodies and animal welfare NGOs, including the World Veterinary Association, as a standard of animal welfare. Simply put, these are freedom from hunger and thirst, which only means that animals must have ready access to fresh water and diet to maintain full health and vigor. It must also have freedom from discomfort by simply providing an appropriate environment, including shelter and a comfortable resting area. Freedom from pain or injury, which simply means the prevention or rapid diagnosis and treatment in case an animal is sick. Freedom from fear and distress by ensuring the condition and treatment will avoid mental suffering. And of course, the freedom to express normal behavior by providing sufficient space, proper facilities, and company of the animal's own kind. Using those, let us examine the situation and living conditions of egg-laying hens in a battery cage and relate it to the welfare of the hens. What do we find? Very limited space, brittle bones, feather pecking, salmonella, inability to express natural behaviors. Why is the expression of natural behavior important on animal welfare? Because these natural behaviors are in fact innate. Their natural instinct of egg laying hens to uplift their living standards. And what are these natural behaviors? It's important for us to know the natural behaviors of chickens to be able to know whether or not animal welfare has been complied with. First, perching. Perching is important in any egg laying farms because it improves bone, muscle strength, reduces fearfulness, aggression, and it gives place for refuge, and it reduces injurious feather pecking. If i- if you are going to compare this with a battery cage situation, the egg laying hens do not have that opportunity to perch because it only has an A4 size space within which it is able to only stand and maybe sit down. Nesting. Layer hens have a strong motivation to perform nest building, which is triggered by hormones at ovulation. They have a basic and instinctive need to lay eggs in a quiet and secluded area. In fact, they would want to seek privacy while trying to look or trying to lay their eggs. Again, in a battery cage setup or system, nesting is deprived, or the egg laying hens are deprived of this opportunity to nest. Dust bathing. Dust bathing cleanses and maintains feathers, removes oil buildup, parasites, and helps regulate body temperature. These are opportunities or natural behaviors that are available in a cage-free system and in a free-range system, and is ultimately absent in any battery cage system. Foraging. Hens are also motivated to forage and have access to litter. For them is very critical to maintain good plumage condition and improve the feeling of satisfaction. Locomotion. Hens need space to stretch, preen their feathers, flap their wings, and move around. Hens like to have a space so they can choose where they can spend their time. Surely, these behaviors could not be expressed or manifested in any battery cage situation. So, what is cage free? Cage free is a housing system specifically designed for egg laying hens to accommodate their behavioral needs. Even though cage-free systems may not provide outdoor access, they do allow for greater expression of hens' natural behaviors. They can stretch, flap their wings, or even fly. They can perform other natural behaviors such as pecking, scratching, laying, and of course, dust bathing. So these are images of egg laying hens in a cage-free setup or facility. Hens are able to move and fulfill their behavioral needs. If you would notice here in this image, hens are foraging, dust bathing, and nesting or resting in a perch. The increasing consumer concern about how animals are raised for food has driven demand for meat and poultry that is free range, antibiotics free, grass fed, and even cage free. And those practices perceived as healthier or more humane. The world is changing, and the people increasingly becoming aware and conscious of the welfare of animals and where their food is coming from. For us, this is a good news for the animals. Globally, various protests have been made over the years for states allowing animals for food. If you can see here in the slides, there has been a lot of countries that has been banning or adopting cage-free systems. Various countries like UK, Canada, Australia, and or certain states in the US are also growing. In fact, there are a lot of companies that have also shifted or adopted a cage-free policy or system in their sourcing of their ingredients or in their food. For example, here, Marriott has committed to go cage-free by 2025. Hyatt, Salad Stop, and other companies such as Hilton, Starbucks, Unilever, Kellogg's, Burger King, McDonald's even has likewise committed to go cage-free by 2025. More, Nestle, Wendy's, no, these are Dunkin' even, and even Subway, and these are global companies that has present also here in the Philippines. So why do we have to go cage free? Consider this. One, it's good for you. Eggs come from free range housing or cage free housing systems that has lower calories, cholesterol, and higher in vitamin A, D, E, and B2 compared to regular eggs. Also, it is good for the hens. The added amenities and more space allowance provide for the hens' behavioral needs, hence improving their overall health, and it is, of course, less stressful for the hens. The community also likes the idea. Apart from the brand itself, the market also looks at what the company is standing for and thus make decisions according to it. Also, I'll just move my browser. It is a sustainable option. Cage-free facilities are specially designed to meet the overall needs of the egg-laying hens. So what can we do together? Simply, a very simple proposition on how to help reduce cruelty in the farm industry is simply by buying cage-free eggs. Next time that you go to the grocery stores, the market, ask for cage-free eggs or look for cage-free eggs. It is also important for everyone to patronize establishments with cage-free policies like the companies that I have mentioned earlier. Patronize restaurants or food establishments or companies that uses cage-free eggs and those that have made commitments to go cage-free and are implementing it. Through AKF's campaign and continuing corporate appeals, there have been a lot of restaurants that have started already to go cage-free. Salad Stop in the Philippines, for one, has implemented their global commitment to go cage-free here in the Philippines. And we can only hope that others will follow through. Other small restaurants such as this, Gourmet Gypsy, Bon Appetit, and these restaurants are also committed to use cage-free eggs in their restaurants. We appeal to everyone to help us spread the word to alleviate the living conditions of the egg-laying hens. Please tag companies, appeal to the companies to go cage-free so that everyone can have or can participate in the global movement to reduce cruelty in the farm animal industry. If you would notice in this slide, Bounty Fresh has likewise started to move and to work into shifting their farm practices into cage-free. And in fact, Magnolia is also already selling cage-free eggs in the supermarket. So there's really a growing consciousness in promoting animal welfare in the farm animal industry because people are realizing that it is important to the animals and it is also important to us humans and also to our environment. We always believe that at the end of the day, we always believe that there is no place for cruelty, especially on our tables. Thank you for listening, and I hope that um, uh, cage-free system will also be considered by everyone who would want to go farming or would want to look into egg laying hens as part of their business endeavor in the future. We, the Animal Kingdom Foundation, has taken initiatives also to improve or to develop the cage-free standards, which is now being discussed and finalized with the Bureau of Animal Agricultural and Fisheries Standards here in the Philippines. Soon, we will also have a PNS or Philippine National Standards on cage-free, in as much as we also already have a PNS on free-range farming. Animal Kingdom Foundation will also be rolling training of farmers on cage free soon. So please look at our cage free pages on Facebook and also on Instagram. We also have a cage free model in Kappa Starlock. So if you would want to look at it and study on how you may be able to adopt the system, and we will be happy to tour you around and show you. And of course, please join our training for farmers, which we will be slated soon. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Attorney Heidi. We learned a lot about the cage-free method. Now, may I invite once again Dr. Erwin to join Attorney Heidi for our Q&A session. Dr. Erwin? Alright, so I will read the most upvoted questions on Slido first. So for our first question, shy siya mag-share ng kanyang name. So, how much better is free-range chicken for animal welfare as compared to broiler chickens? I will also type the question on chat box. Again, I repeat, the question is addressed to Dr. Erwin. How much better is free-range chicken for animal welfare as compared
We,
to broiler?
in terms of the management environment inputs that you provide, free-range chicken production is actually much better than cage pre-production because you are providing more space, you are providing sunlight, you are providing natural inputs, more natural inputs, because it is cage pre-production is a balanced compromise system that because of the demand for food security, we have to pass through this phase, and there is another phase, a much higher one, which is free range. And if you want to go higher than that, that is organic chicken production, which is I cannot find to be existing right now in the Philippines.
Thank you, Dr. Erwin. So the next question is addressed to you both. Um, Feeling ko taga-NCR yung nagtanong eh. How feasible is it to start a backyard farm in the city like NCR? So kung taga-NCR ka, how feasible is it to start a backyard farm?
Si attorney, okay, if you please go first.
Actually, it was mentioned by Doc Erwin a while ago. You have to examine, of course, your locality. Is your area or locality, the city or the barangay where you are located, allows you to do poultry farming? Second, of course, if that is a check, you have to also check: do you have enough space to do free range farming in your backyard? Or for that matter, cage-free farming in your backyard. For cage-free, it is easier because you don't need much space rather than in a free-range farming. Again, you have to look into the regulations, the requirements, and fit into which kind of farming you would want to practice in your backyard.
Okay, that's correct, attorney. Actually, another point is that it has to be referring to the zoning in the area. If outright it is a residential area, as per local rules or laws, any complaints, any one or two complaints is enough to evict you from that area. So these things has to be considered. Also, points of animal noises in the area, no, pwede kang question because here in the Philippines, chicken is not yet considered as a pet, no. It is considered as either food or either fighting cock. So ngayon, nade-develop na. There are kids who prepare chickens now as pets, and this is a development. However, it's always states that you have to follow the rules, especially if you're in the urban setting. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you, Attorney Heidi and Dr. Erwin. So the next question is addressed to Attorney Heidi. How much more expensive are cage-free eggs versus non-cage-free? Will the price ever become the same in the future? So what's the difference between the price of cage-free versus non-cage-free? Magiging parehas po ba yung presyo ng cage-free and non-cage-free eggs in the future?
Sorry.
Attorney
Yeah.
Heidi.
Yeah. Cage-free egg productions, similar to free-range production, is quite frankly more costly because you are providing a better welfare, a better management for the hens, and thus, of course, you will be spending more. That redounds, of course, to the fact that the eggs that these hens are producing are more expensive, but it should not be so expensive as it is now. But again, of course, there are so many factors that will be considered in the pricing, other than, of course, the cost of production. And I think Doc Irwin can discuss more on pricing, but definitely um, it is also our hope that in the future, with the market or consumer awareness and acceptability for more cage-free eggs and free-range eggs, the prices will eventually be evening out.
That's correct po. If I can add, no, there's always still an issue of economies of scale kasi because the more volume that you can pack in one farm will give a lesser cost to produce. That is the common old school system of for me of really producing good food. For me, producing good food is not only price; it is providing income for farmers also. These things has been considered because if we put uh, price consciousness, etc., these things will be, ang nangyayari kasi, nagiging masyadong commodity and least cost ang program. And when you put least cost on the table, ang nangyayari po sa atin, pamurahan ng cost to produce up to the point that animal welfare has been affected already. The quality of feeds in particular has been affected so much that sometimes chemicals are being put, and this is also an animal welfare violation if you will consider it. And these things has to be put on the table later on, na we need to balance things, that there are farmers who are painstakingly producing and they have to earn well, not just basically producing an egg and to get it the least cost. May mga dapat ko consider tayo doon sa ganun point. Thank you po.
Thanks, Doc. The next question is addressed to Attorney Heidi. Ma'am, is it possible that cage-free might technically be cage-free, but chickens can still be in bad conditions? Is it possible that cage-free might be cage-free, but still chickens can be in bad conditions? So is it
Definitely,
possible?
no? That's still very possible. Again, that's why we are pushing for the standards, because some scrupulous farmers may claim a farming or a system to be cage free, but actually the hens are suffering because there's overcrowding or the management is not correct or proper, and also because the temperature based on the breed of the hens are not being followed. So there are so many other factors that needs to be considered in cage free farming, that would lead into poor layers condition. So it's not a guarantee that when you say it's cage free, that's still it's still good. No, there are possibilities that the farm management and non-compliance with the standards on cage free is not being followed. So that's the problem.
Thanks, Attorney Heidi. Our next question is addressed to Dr. Irwin. Ano pong mga programa or financial support ang binibigay ng gobyerno para sa mga free-range farmers?
Alam nyo, sa totoo lang, pinakamagaling ang Pinoy na free-range farmer kasi wala pong nakukuhang suporta pero nabubuhay sila. Nakakapag-propagate sila ng sistema na tinuturo pa nila sa iba, ang bayanihan system. At yung knowledge na yun na i-share sa marami. Also to add, no, really education is very important on both ends. Not just in the farmer side, but also on the consumer side. Because once you are enlightened, that's what Attorney Heidi said, na-enlighten ka, sinasabing ganyan, hindi pala yun yung practice, you have the right to report that immediately because we need to um, control our ranks, no? Police our ranks, because that is also our responsibility as a responsible Filipino consumer and as a responsible Filipino farmer. Thank you po.
Thank you, Dr. Irwin. Having said that, what are the incentives for farmers who want to shift to the free range and cage free methods? Are there any
Okay.
incentives?
Actually, can I just answer muna, Attorney? Actually, ang incentive mo, you're feeding your family healthy food, number one. You bring back your family, your children to go back to your houses because it encourages farming to kids. The moral and the character development as a Filipino and as a proud Filipino farmer will come back. Number three, you are just focused in your locality. You don't need to take a bus, take a MRT, or travel far because your business is at your backyard. So yung mga effects nun, pros nun, nandun. And most importantly po, ang pinaka-importante sa lahat, yung oras na may bigay mo sa pamilya mo na hindi po mababayaran ng kahit magkano. No? Of course, benefits na lang yung kumikita ka dyan. Imagine a free-range farmer whose cost to produce is approximately 6 pesos. He's selling it at 9. So if he's just selling 100 eggs a day, he's earning 300 pesos a day. So, yun, nasa bahay ka, kasama mong pamilya mo, and you develop other, because me, I encourage a multi-platform of earning. Hindi lang po sa free-range farming. You can have other ways of earning na you have more time to do. So, yun yung mga benefits pong nakita ko. Thank you po.
For us naman po, um, unfortunately, wala kong alam that the government is providing us incentive for now, for people going cage free or free range. It is for that reason that Doc Irwin and us in Animal Kingdom Foundation are pushing for these practices, because who is there to help us but ourselves? And other than, of course, the very important benefits, no, that or incentive that free range farming gives you, as this discussed by Doc Irwin, it is also very important to note that you are also not just helping your family by providing them good and healthy, nutritious food. You are also supporting a sustainable program. You are also helping the animals to be better, to be healthier, no, and also helping the environment, protecting it from environmental degradation brought about by commercial or factory farming. That alone is already very significant benefits or contributions that you can put or anybody can contribute for the community in going cage free or in going free range.
Ma'am Jing, just to add, no? Actually, when I do my modules, I tell the farmers, least kayong aasa sa gobyerno kasi ang gobyerno po, hindi nandyan yan para buhay ng pamilya ninyo. Bonus na lang po yan kung magkaroon tayo ng, with due respect to the person who asked the question. Kasi if we will be asking the government to help us change our lives, the only person who can change it is us. That's why we are equipping you through these platforms, through these learning modules, so that you have a better direction on how to do free-range farming or cage-free farming. Thank you po.
Thanks, Dr. Erwin. The next question is addressed to you both. How can we find out the local rules and regulations in our area if we want to start chicken farming? Where can we ask?
Ah,
Yeah, sige Doc. Go ahead.
Ako mo. Okay. Ang unang tatanungin niyo po yung sarili ninyo. Kasi ano ho bang farming ang gusto kong gawin? Gusto ko ho bang mag-egg farming? Gusto ko ho bang mag-meat farming? At ano ho yung volume na kaya nating hawakan? We always recommend that you start small. Kasi the hardest part of farming or whatever agriculture you do is the learning curve. Hindi ho pare-parehong learning curve natin. Meron po tayong market reception sa kada area. For example, if you go to Central Visayas, they prefer the male, the inasal, that we call inasal type. And they prefer the meat rather than the eggs. And the rest of the other areas, they prefer the eggs than meat. So may mga ganyang bagay. And the only way you can do that is you put your finger in the water so that you will see it on a very safe way. Importante po aral. Sabi ko sa ibang tao, kahit marami ko ho kayong pera, kung ang alam po ay kulang, mauubos lang ho yan. So dapat aralin maigi. At yung pong aral na yun, kahit gawin nyo po yan 10 years from now, 15 years from hawak nyo po yan kasi empowered na kayo eh. So if you have money now and you have the right knowledge, you have a chance of growing your business well. Now, going back to the question, ang ano po dyan kasi, ang tanong, pagkatapos yung tanong yung sarili nyo, tingnan nyo muna yung lugar nyo. Is it a residential area or an agriculture? Outright to residential, hindi kayo pwede mag-farming. Aabot po kasi kayo sa punto, nahahabulin nyo na yung demand, na mag-over na kayo sa population up to the point na maka-question na kayo ng mga kapitbahay. Unless na customer nyo lahat ang kapitbahay ninyo at yung barangay captain ninyo. Yan, very important. Okay? So, yan yung mga yun. Tapos tatanungin sa barangay kung okay po. And then you go to the provincial government, the provincial veterinary office or the DNR there. Tatanungin nyo po. Pero kung kayo po ay magpo-farming lang ng maliit, you just keep it small. Puntahan po yung mga kapitbahay. Yan lang ang market natin muna. Kasi you don't need legal entities or legal papers if you're just a farm-to-home program. Farm-to-home lang. Thank you po.
Ayun, I think kumpleto yung sinabi ni Doc Erwin na may kasama pang sermon yan. O, di ba? Yan ang gusto ko kay Doc Erwin. But truly, no, there are legal ordinances, no, in every locality. Meron po tayong tinatawag na ordinansa. Tama po 'yon. Tingnan niyo muna sa barangay. Titingnan niyo muna kung residential po yung area ninyo. Kung residential po, tama po 'yon. Home use lang or nearby kapitbahay ang market mo. Pwede siguro for a very small degree. Kasi nga po, pag kayo ay nireklamo ng kapitbahay sa amoy, sa langaw at sa ingay, wala po kayong choice kundi itigil po ninyo ang inyong ini-envision na lalaking negosyo. Definitely, if you are in an agricultural community, go na go po yan. No? But kung maliit po ang inyong nais, hindi na po natin kailangan ng mga permitting requirement. So again, as Dr. Erwin said, let's start small. No, practice muna, mag-aral tayong mabuti, umattend tayo ng training ni Doc Erwin, umattend tayo ng training ng Animal Kingdom Foundation and Cage Free para matutunan nating mabuti. Kasama na rin po dyan ang mga permitting at saka ng mga regulations na ituturo po sa inyo.
Thank you, Attorney Heidi, Doc Erwin. So we have 3 more questions left. The next question is addressed to you both. In comparison to Doc Erwin pala. In comparison to broiler, which is 45 days, and native chicken, which one is better when it comes to commercial benefits in raising chicken?
Okay. Iba kasing mundo yung white chicken, broiler chicken production versus native or free-range production. Why? Because we can consider already as commercial broiler chicken as a commodity product. It always base its production on the least cost program, which means that you require a lot of chickens to earn well. While on the other hand, and you have to go through logistics and institutions. While on the other hand, if you do free range chicken, you guys just go in your locality, and your program is based on your neighbors, kamag-anak, etc. Because that is where you start that program well. Okay? So I cannot say that the other one is better, the other one is not. Because I cannot discard broiler commercial production. Why? Because it feeds a lot of people also. It is part of our food security. But there are a lot of people in the local areas, in the provinces. Of course, they prefer colored chicken or native chicken as their preferred chicken. So may mga ganyan pong mundo. When you go talaga sa probinsya, makikita nyo, they prefer the native, the free range over broiler chicken. So it's a different world. Thank you po.
Thank you, Doc Erwin. And now we're down to our last question since we're running out of time. Our last question is addressed to Attorney Heidi. Are there any local companies that are interested to go cage-free?
Yes. There are a lot, not really a lot. There are growing interest among companies, no. When we say companies, dalawa yan eh. Food establishments ba yan? Including hotels, restaurants, and all, or farming, no? Katulad na nabanggit ko po kanina, may malaking na pong dalawang farming or farms tayo na tumitingin na or nagko-consider na or gumagawa na ng mga paraan at improvement sa kanilang mga farms, no, to go cage free. Nabanggit ko po kanina, hindi ako nagpo-promote dito, but they are necessarily good examples. Nabanggit ko po kanina ang Bounty Fresh at Magnolia. Nag-visit na po kami sa farm ng Bounty Fresh at makikita mo talaga na yung kanilang former battery cage houses, sinift na nila or pinalitan nila ito ng cage-free. And in fact, meron din silang free range na tinatawag kasi nga yun ang direction nila, maging makatao ang kanilang production ng egg-laying eggs, no, para sa ating mga pamilya. In terms of mga companies naman, food establishments, marami tayong mga global companies na nabanggit ko kanina na nandito sa Pilipinas. May mga cage-free global commitment yung mga yan. Kasama na po ang McDonald's. Ang tanong lang kasi sa atin, lagi nila saan kami kukuha ng cage-free o free-range na eggs para ma-meet ang volume namin. So yan po ang kaya kami nagpo-propagate ng kaalaman ni Doc Erwin para nga itong mga kumpanyang ito ma-fulfill nila yung kanilang mga commitment at maging available sa kanila at ma-meet ang demand ng itlog sa kanilang mga negosyo. Sa mga maliliit naman pong restaurants, ang dami na rin pong mga interests na pinapakita. May mga restaurants na po kaming na na-encourage na mag-shift, na mag-adopt ng cage-free policies. And we also have food vloggers, mga home cooks, no, online yung mga yan, yung mga, di ba nauso ngayon, pandemya, yung mga online, na-discover natin, everyone pala is a cook, everyone pala is a chef. So yan, nagmamanifest na rin sila ng interest, bumibili na rin sila ng cage-free eggs at saka free range. So yes, meron po tayong malaki at growing interest on these two types of housing system or sistema ng pagpoproduce ng itlog sa ating bansa.
Yes. Thank you, Attorney Heidi. Yes, dumadami na nga po ang bumibili ng cage-free eggs and mga free-range chickens and free-range eggs. Ayun, so that was a very insightful Q&A session. Thank you, Doc Irwin and Attorney Heidi. Now, may I call on Kate once again to present the certificates to our speakers.
Hello. Hi. On behalf of EA Philippines, we would like to present this virtual. So we will be sending this to each of the speakers. Certificate of appreciation. First is to Attorney Heidi Caguioa for imparting her values insight to the participants in our event on how to improve the welfare of locally farmed chicken. So given this 29 day of May 2021. So yeah, so virtual. I'll be giving it virtually. And then next po is to Doc Erwin Cruz. We'll also like to thank you for imparting his values, insight to the participants in our events on how to improve the welfare of locally farmed chickens. So given 29th day of May 21. Thank you. Thank you to our speakers. And before we, so I would like to have some short announcement with regards to EA Philippines. Yeah, so first is we would like to launch officially the EA Philippines first cause-specific fellowship, which is Effective Animal Advocacy Fellowship. This is a 9-week discussion group to help you maximize your positive impact for animals. So as you can see on the slide, so from week 1 to week 9, so we will be presenting you with different topics and ideas, and the program is actually patterned after UCLA, EA, UCLA, and we want to also modify. We also modify this and integrate to have included some Philippine context. And another way, another incentive for you to join this fellowship is you will able to read and discuss some of the best resources to learn about effective altruism and effective animal advocacy, and it will help you to connect with like-minded people. So I believe our team will be sending the link to interest form. So as early as now, you can sign up for that application. And then next is so we already have also our official EA Philippines website. So you can check it out at effectivealtruism.ph. So we do also update our website when it comes to job boards that are currently openings that is related to different cause area. And if you want to learn more about EA and EA Philippines, you definitely want to check that out. And I'll give it to you, Jane, again.
Thank you once again to Dr. Irwin and Attorney Heidi for joining us today. Thank you, everyone. May our combined efforts help improve the welfare of locally farmed chickens. Once again, I'm King Geronimo, and it has been a pleasure to be your host for today. See you in our future webinars. Maraming salamat po at mag-ingat po tayong lahat.